Folks, welcome back. I have your latest home prices and insights for Mississauga, Brampton, and the Durham region for week ending March 30th, 2022. Prices are coming down. I'm going to show you shortly, but I do want to take a second to talk about the numbers I have on the board are for the area. When I talk about prices, they're average sold prices, and the sheer nature of average means for the whole area as a summary. In the last few weeks, I've been talking about a market shift. It's not widespread. So if I talk about prices coming down, your neighborhood could maybe not be experiencing that, or maybe the price point that you're either selling at or buying at could maybe not be experiencing a downward trend in pricing. It all depends. That's the sheer nature of when I talk about averages. It's not for every single community and every single price point. And the sheer nature of a shift, same idea. It's not widespread. I want to be clear with that. And the reason I want to be clear is because it's so important you're working with a real estate consultant, a professional that understands these market dynamics. It's not a one strategy fits all, whether you're selling or buying. You really got to adapt it to the neighborhood, the price point, the home type, and it's constantly changing. You know what? I'm curious actually, the neighborhood you're in, just jot it down in the comments below and let me know. Are you still seeing properties flying off the shelf, or are they sitting on for sale a little bit longer than they were just a few weeks ago? If you think this video can help somebody you know, please pass it along. Let's get into the numbers. If you want to speak with me about your real estate situation, buying, selling, or just talk real estate, it's really simple. Below this video, in the description, there's a link to my calendar. Click on that, book a time that's convenient for you. This way, I'll know ahead of time and we'll talk about whatever's on your mind. Okay, let's talk about these prices dropping. Mississauga, Brampton, and Durham. I got the three areas here, and you can see prices are trending down. Let's start with Mississauga. I have a whole year broken down by week for detached properties, and we sold 77 detached properties in Mississauga last week, and that's up from the previous week, up quite a bit actually, and average sold price is now sitting at $1,707,000, down from the previous week. But to me, prices go up and down week by week. It's really hard to make a decision based on 1 week. But what I'm looking at is kind of the trend. We can see when we kind of go, last year was trending down until the summer, and then it was more flat, and then come October, trending up, and then it's coming down. So over the last, I'd say 2.5 months or 2 months, average sold price has been trending downward. The current average sold price of $1,707,000 is 6% lower, 6% higher than what it was last year at this time. This year we're trending down. Last year at this time we were trending up. The median price is 13% higher than what it was a year ago. And when we look at sales, of the 77 that sold, 81% sold at list price or more. So still relatively competitive, 81% selling at list price or more. But when we look at overall sales, so I'm not talking prices, just sales from year to date, January 1st to March 30th, we're down by about 30% versus what we were selling last year. That's a big drop. We're selling way less properties this year, and listings are down year to date 22%. So much less activity this year than we had last year. We listed 135 last week, pretty similar to what we did the previous week of 140, and months of inventory has come down to 0.6. The previous week it was 1, it's now 0.6. As months of inventory come down, prices tend to go up, and as months of inventory go up, prices tend to come down. And sometimes it's not an exact science, so sometimes there's a delay of 1 or 2 weeks depending on what's going on out there in the market and attitudes. Here's Brampton. We sold 101 detached properties in Brampton, so sales are up from last week. 9 of those were at $2 million or more. Average sold price has come down from the previous week. It's now sitting at $1,516,000. But when we look at the overall trend, it looks like, if we kind of see here, it looks like for the last 2 months, average sold price has been trending down, but not as steep as it was in Mississauga. So it's a very gradual descent right now. This current average sold price of $1,516,000 is 24% higher than what it was last year at this time, and the median price is 26% higher than what it was a year ago. Of the 101 that sold, 80% sold at list price or more. And if you kind of just look back for the last few weeks we have here, I mean, I got 3 or 4 months of data up here, 94%, 96%, 97%. That's the percentage normally selling at list price or more in Brampton. Last week it was 80%. I mean, I know from 80 to 90, 95, it's still very competitive, but you feel it a little bit, and that's what I mean about a shift in the market, and it's not widespread. It's isolated to certain neighborhoods, and it's kind of moving around for different neighborhoods. When we look at sales to date, year to date, we're 34% lower this year versus last year's sales, and listings are 22% lower this year versus last year, year to date. But we listed a bit more this week than we did the previous week, and months of inventory is a little bit lower, sitting at 0.8 months of inventory. Looking at, for Durham, I'm using Pickering, Ajax, and Whitby as my Durham region. We sold 81 detached properties. That's up from last week. One of those was at $2 million or more, and average sold price is up slightly from the previous week. It's now at $1,359,000. But when we look at the last 1.5 months, like, average sold price has been on a very steep decline. Now, you can think, oh wow, average sold price is so low, but we're way ahead, way up from where we were last year at this time. And in fact, average sold price is 26% higher than what it was a year ago, and median price is 30% higher than what it was a year ago. So prices are still high. It's not like it's doom and gloom that prices are coming down. We're still way ahead of the game, and there's lots of appreciation in there. Of the 81 that sold, 90% sold at list price or more. Year-to-date sales, 28% lower this year. We're 28% less properties are being sold this year than what was being sold last year. Listings, 19% less listings this year versus last year. And months of inventory has come down a bit to 0.5 months of inventory. So for detached properties in Mississauga, Brampton, and Durham, months of inventory has come down. Market is actually a bit tighter than what it was last week. Let's look at condos for Peel region. Sales are up slightly from the previous week. We sold 93 condos last week. 2 of them were at $1 million or more. You look at 93 and you kind of go back the last 2 or 3 months or so, average sales are pretty much steady there in the 90s. Average sold price did come down slightly, but it has been pretty steady. It's now at $721,000. It was at $728,000 for 3 weeks in a row. $740,000, $721,000. We're kind of still in the same spot when it comes to average sold price, but way up from where we were all of last year. $721,000 is 29% higher than last year's average sold price, and median price is also 29% higher. Median price is sitting at $710,000. Of the 93 that sold, 86% sold at list price or more. Condos in Peel region are extremely competitive. Sales, well, year to date, we're 9% lower sales this year than what we were selling last year. Listings are up 3% year to date. And when we look at months of inventory, it's down slightly from the previous week. It's now sitting at 0.4. very competitive. 0.4 months of inventory. There's just it's not much. It's less than half a month of inventory there available. Very competitive. When we look at all the overall months of inventory, they're all down. So the market got a little bit competitive, and it's hard to understand what's happening here because we're also talking about prices kind of trending down. It's tricky. It's tricky right now, and it's so important you're working with a consultant, a real estate consultant, a realtor that really understands, I don't want it to sound like I'm repeating myself, that really understands the dynamics of what's happening out there right now. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.